to help New York State Economic Development Corporation take what we have been teaching at universities for over 10 years and adapt it so that you could have the opportunity to learn what people sometimes are paying $100,000 or $200,000 a year to learn. So want to share with you that what I am talking about today has been tested at all of the universities. Augustine, I'm not seeing slides, so then my next point that I always like to make is my next slide, which I believe absolutely everyone who is on this call today was put on the planet for a unique purpose. I believe that if you learn about entrepreneurship, that can help you satisfy that finding out. To me, success is knowing why you were put on the planet and also living the life that you were meant to be. When I heard many of you introduce and talk about the businesses that you want to start, I have a sense that to be a baker, to really care about people in their homes, to start a wellness company, to do incredible work in the construction industry, that this is what you are here to do. And it is my absolute joy to be sharing with you for the next 45 minutes or so the steps on how you really can build a very good business. The next thing I like to talk about is my personal mission. I think it's very important to know what someone who's talking to you is about. I have two missions. I ask myself every morning two questions. The first question I've been asking since second grade. In second grade, I was the tallest person in my class, and it became time to have the parade into the auditorium. And as the tallest person, I thought I should be carrying the American flag, but I was quickly told that only boys could carry the American flag. And so I led my very first sit-down strike in second grade for an hour until girls were allowed to carry the American flag. And so it's my question every day since then is ask, what can I do to help women and girls get our fair share of the political and economic pie? So first, I'm so happy to see so many female faces on this call, so many women that it's exploded in the last 2 years of how many women are starting incredible businesses that help us and the planet and the community. My second thing that I like to ask myself every morning is how can I help someone start a new business, innovate, solve a problem, and most important, create new opportunities for wealth and new opportunities for jobs. So again, it's a real joy for me to spend some time thinking that hopefully I can help many of you and hopefully all of you do that. Start a new company, create some new wealth, and definitely create some new jobs. The next slide here is about my background, but I think Anne has covered that very well. The only thing that I would highlight is that I have written a lot about entrepreneurship and growth. And at the end of this, I will tell you that if you want to read more of my work, you can connect with me on LinkedIn and find more of what I will be talking about. So I have to commend you for being here today. If you go to my next slide, it's about just celebrating that this is an incredible time to start a business or to be in business. Coming out of COVID has disrupted absolutely everything. No one has the answers to anything. Nothing that anyone has done is being done the same as it was before COVID. I also think that COVID taught everyone a little bit about what it takes to be an entrepreneur and what it takes to innovate and start something new. So if you go to my next slide, I ask the question, who is an entrepreneur? And one of the biggest points that I would like you to remember about what I'm saying today is an entrepreneur is a person who is relentlessly in love with pursuing the solution to a problem. If you are obsessed about solving the problem, of making the most beautiful photograph for a small business and being obsessed on how you're going to solve that problem of creating a photograph that's going to be better for a small business than anyone else. If you start from that point of view, that is going to help you get focused on the customer. It also is going to be that you are not in love with the way you want to do something, that you are going to be in love with solving the problem, making something that really helps someone and really creates value. You go to my next slide, I share with people some of the things that I have learned about entrepreneurs. The first, like I said, was that we are obsessed with problems. I have written cases of over 100 very successful entrepreneurs defined by those who actually ended up being quite rich. And I will tell you that none of those 100 entrepreneurs started their companies to become rich. All of them started it to create something and to solve a problem. Entrepreneurs are like Van Gogh, the painter. And when he painted Starry Night, he wasn't thinking that he needed to add some more blue into that painting. And if he did, it would sell for another $1 million. He was only driven to do what would make the most beautiful painting that spoke to what he had to create. This is the way an entrepreneur works. Entrepreneurs also have a tremendous bias to action. It's better to start and do something and sit around thinking about it for days and weeks and whatever. Perfection and failure are totally foreign to an entrepreneur. Think about it. If you are the first person to start the most incredible chocolate strawberry business in your community, it might be that the very first time you try to sell them or you try to create the recipe, it may not totally come out as fantastic as you thought. And what we must remember, if you're the first person to do something, if you're supposed to do what you uniquely must do, the chances are that the first time it may not totally come out exactly the way you want, but that is part of the process. I also like to always tell people to try to download the Cult of Done Manifesto. This is a poster which was created by a man by the name of Bree Pettis, which are 13 crazy rules and one-line sentences that just inspire you to do something new. I saw some of you were in the design business, the web business, wanted to be a photographer, wanted to create incredibly, or you are a photographer, but wanted to create a business about it. You want to create a beautiful chocolate dessert or a cake or something. Having this poster in front of you when things aren't going particularly well, I share with you, can really get you going in the right place. Now, if we look at our old model of startups, which is our next slide, in the old days in business schools, if somebody wanted to start a company, they locked themselves up in a room and wrote a 40 to 60 page business plan, which they kind of tried to figure out what would happen to their business. To the best of my knowledge, and just about any other business professor I've ever spoken to, we have never found anyone who's started a company after writing that 60-page business plan, that if they had not started at the first day they thought about it and done something, they would be further away. The idea of we're actually on the one more slide forward. Augustine.
Make sure you slow down a little bit, Barbara.
Okay. Let me just, you'll catch me up there.
Make sure you slow down a little bit.
Okay, great. So again, the old model of startups are for the 40-page business plan. They're secretly done. There's something that people do not get out of the room, and it's just one person's creation. If we go to today's model, which is the next slide, today's model is one that we talk about, which is called design thinking. It is taught at MIT, Google, Harvard, and of course now throughout New York State. We go to the next slide. These are the things that make the business model canvas a much better way to work. Just go to our next slide and we'll catch up. Okay, so what are the rules of starting a company now? First, focus on the problem, not the solution. 2, you try to do something. You at least do move quickly. And if something is not working out exactly as you thought it should, you change your mind fast. You're flexible, you're rapid, you work to at least try something. There also is a tremendous amount of knowledge now that working with other people, working with a diverse group of people, that you will come out with a better solution to the problem you want to solve. And then the last big thing is that the customer, the person that you are selling to, is the most important person that is in your universe. And what that means is if you want to start a company, you have to get out and speak to people, share your idea, ask them questions. The next page tells us exactly why we do a business model canvas. What we are going to see is a business model canvas has 9 questions and 9 boxes. It's one piece of paper. When you do a business model canvas, you should do it in pencil, because the point of doing it is that nothing is going to be the same as your very first time that you answer the questions. So the idea, which we're going to be sharing with today, and we're going to share about these questions, is you start by asking these 9 questions, scribbling your first thoughts about what you're going to do, and then you go out and you show this piece of paper to at least 10 people. In some business courses, you show it to 100 people, but at least 10 before you truly spend money on advertising, you truly decide what you're going to do. If you show the business model canvas, listen to what people tell you about it, you will save money and you will save time to getting to something that will work and will make money for you. The other thing is that there's an awful lot of contests around now that you can pitch an idea. And if you do it well, you can win prizes of 500 to 25,000 to even more. And these are the 9 questions that anyone is looking for you to answer if you have any thoughts of winning a contest or even eventually getting a bank loan or perhaps even doing a crowdfunding campaign, which we'll talk about in a second. Okay, so the next page just shows
Slow
the,
down a little bit, Barbara.
Yep. So the next page just shows the cover of the book of the man who created this, which of course we have to give him credit. This is known as business model canvas, business model generation. You can Google business model canvas and you will find many YouTubes about people pushing this or explaining what I'm doing tonight further. You of course have this 6-week class that will doing it better. And also if you're starting a business in bakery or daycare or even or dog services or as a photographer, you should try to Google business model canvas for a photographer or a dog care center or a daycare center or a home care center or a bakery or a hairstylist. There's a very good chance that you can find a business model canvas online that someone has done before. So the next slide is another one of sort of my mantras, which is what I consider is the secret of creating a great business. And the secret is to spend less time on searching for answers and more time on asking the right question. So what, again, the steps that we're going to go through. So next slide, how do you start a business? These are oops, what is that? So oops, we're skipping. Okay, let me just have another version of this. So let me get to this. So again, the business model canvas is asking the questions to tell you, who are you serving? How are you serving? What are you doing? And how are you doing it? Let's go to the next slide. Okay, so this is the business model canvas. If you go to the website, as we said before, you can download a version of this either in English or Spanish, but these are the 9 questions that we're going to spend the next 20 minutes or so asking ourselves and thinking about. So to begin a company or a business, even before you answer these questions, the first thing I recommend is printing out this piece of paper. The second thing I recommend is turning over the piece of paper and on the back, start describing the problem you want to solve. For those of you who have a pretty clear idea of what you want to do, such as making a beautiful sort of candy, chocolate covered strawberry, or a shop that specializes in incredible candies. And you start with saying that this is what you want to do, but your next thing is why do you want to do it and who do you want to do it for? We're going to talk a lot about the middle box, which is describing what you do and using words to make you more valuable. We're going to stay on the business model canvas for a second, Augustine. Let me walk through all the boxes and then we'll go one-on-one, okay? So the first box that I'm going to come back and talk about is what do you do and describe the value. That's that box in the second. The second box we're going to talk about is who do you help? Who should be your customers? That's over there on the right-hand side. The third box that you typically would do is what kind of interaction do you want to have with your customer? Do you want to have an online business? Do you want to have a retail store? Do you want to build a community? What kind of relationship you want? The next box, the fourth box, is how do you reach them? We'll talk about that. Do you find them online? Do you hand out flyers? Do you go to your church or your gym and just start talking to people? So how do you reach your customers? Your next question. And then on that right-hand side in the bottom, you then ask yourself, how will you make money? And really, what kind of money can you make? So if you think about the right-hand side of the business model canvas, it's all about who your customer is, how you're going to find them, how you're going to make your mark outside world. The left-hand side of the canvas is about everything you have to do behind the scenes. You have to think about how do you do it? What are your key activities that you're going to have to do? What resources do you need? People, money, buildings, supplies. Who are partners who can help you, and what will it cost? So before you get kind of just overwhelmed, realize that over the next 6 weeks, these are kind of the 9 questions that this course is going to help you to answer. And one thing you have to recognize is that an idea does not make a business. You have to answer all of these questions to put together your unique strategy, your unique action plan for really starting a business. And for those of you who already have a business, asking these 9 questions will give you a much clearer idea on how you're going to grow your business and make it better. Okay, so let's now go into a deeper dive on the boxes, Augustine. Let's go to box 1, which is the value proposition. Now, the word value proposition, sounds like an academic, sophisticated word. What it is just what it is to ask yourself, what will you guarantee? If someone buys your business, or someone uses you as a home care aide, or if someone brings your dog to the canine camp, what is it that you are going to guarantee is unique about what you will do versus anyone else who started a business like yours? Takes a little time to think about it, but think of the adjectives and the things you want to be known for. Think of the things that you are going to offer that will be unique and different, and really answers the question is why am I unique? How do I do this? What is it that I guarantee? I'd like to talk about at this, just to remind people or think about a drill, the thing that we use when we do certain things. If someone goes into a hardware store and buys a drill, what are they buying? The first question or the first answer can be they're buying a tool. But if you think about it, what a person is buying is a hole in the wall. So that begins a little of it. design a drill that would be, that a child could use, then you have a whole other way that you're creating value. And rather than just talk about the practical value of putting a hole in the wall, you also can talk about how this can be a way to teach and interact between parents and children. You can talk about this is a way to make your child more of a maker. So if you start thinking about value, you start with thinking about what it does just to get the job done, but you create value by figuring out what is the real pain that you are solving for the person you're selling to, and start thinking of talking about what you are going to do in solving that pain. So let's go to the next page, which are some ideas of what creates value. So basically, actually, let's go into the next page. I covered most of these point August. There we go. Right, this next list. How will you be unique and what creates value? Well, some of the things you can talk about is that you're the newest entity on the newest kind of car. You're the newest way to bake a wedding cake. You're the newest way to do something. You can talk about performance, that you do it better than anyone else. You can talk about design, that your design is better, that your cakes are more beautiful, that your photographs are more beautiful, that your canine camp is going to make dogs healthier and more beautiful. It's about getting the job done. It can be about brand. It can be about saving, making it safer for people. It can be giving accessibility. It can be that you're a lower price. It can be that you're more convenient. It can be that you're giving hope to someone, that if they have you come in as a home care aide, that you potentially could help someone live longer and certainly live a healthier and more fulfilling life. You can save time. You can save costs. Can you figure out how many of those kind of brands and kind of ways to create unique and guarantee? Let me let our translator catch up a bit, because I threw out a lot of different things there. One thing as a side note on this is, if you are really interested in getting some help on figuring out all the ways that you can differentiate yourself, Bain and Company, BAIN and Company, has two things that you can Google, which are called elements of value. They have one version, which is B2B, business to business, and elements of value. There are 40 things on this chart and short video that can help you differentiate if you are someone who is selling into a business. They also have a business to consumer elements of value, and that has about 20 things that if you're selling a product to a consumer, what are all the things that you can talk about? One of my favorite, I do a lot of work at Hofstra, working with a program that specialize in construction companies. And one of my favorite people that I like to talk about, to give you some thoughts on value, is a plumber. And what this plumber does, and what everyone knows him for, is that if you call him because you have a flood or an emergency in your house, he does not leave your house or your business until he has taught you how to turn off the water if you ever had a problem and to protect your home before he could get there. I mean, how many of you have had a plumber who came into your house and actually took the time before they left to show you that if there was a leak or a horrible flood, these are the simple things that you could do to get the problem under control. The other thing that he did is that he needs to get supplies from a warehouse that often recently did not have too much of a supply. And what he did is he realized that the people in the warehouse were paid minimum wage. There was very little heat in the warehouse. So he created a beanie and a sweatshirt with his logo on it and gave it to every one of the guys and women who worked in that warehouse. Obviously, when he shows up at that warehouse, he goes to the head of the line. He can always get parts when no one else can get it. So when you're thinking about value and creating value and uniqueness for your business, these are the kind of things that you should keep in mind.
Make sure you slow down, Barbara.
Yep. Okay, we're going to the customer segment. So figuring out who is your customer is, of course, the most important thing for your business. If you are a startup, if you're just starting your business, you definitely should have this one-page business plan that I'm describing. But you also, right from the beginning, as you start this class, should have a notebook where you are scribbling down ideas about what we're talking about. And one of the first things to do, what we talked about, is you're going to write down your problem you're solving. You're going to start thinking about what you're guaranteeing, what could be your unique features. And then what we should do is start describing your dream customer, even to the detail of giving the person a name and maybe even drawing the person or cutting out a picture in a magazine and putting that picture right in front of your computer that gets you focused on this is why you're in business. You want to help this person solve the problem. You also, when you're thinking about this customer, you also want to think of who in your world are the people that you need to talk to be sure that this idea works. So again, describing how the person, what the age of the person is, whether they're a man or a woman, their income level, whether they live in a house, an apartment, or a dormitory, what their education is, what is their interest. I think I heard a couple of people who are interested in starting food spaces, bars, coffee shops, whatever. It's very important for you to be obsessed with thinking about the kind of person that you're creating your restaurant or your bar for. That is absolutely where you have to start. Who do you want as your customer? The next box is box 3. This is, well, I think probably we've talked about the 3 hardest parts for starting a business: getting that problem, solution, and who's going to be your customer. But the next thing, which I think this is a pretty easy question for most people, is what kind of relationship do you want to have with your customer? The first thing you should ask is, you're solving some pain. You're solving some problem. And the question is, do you want to be a painkiller or do you want to be a vitamin? What is the difference? If you want to be a vitamin, that means you're doing something to keep the pain away. It probably will be a more regular sale. It'll also probably be something that you will not charge as much for as if you're solving a pain. So if you are a painkiller, you are then someone who is building something to put out the pain. I mean, going back to my plumber example, his business is about being a painkiller. It's about coming in when your house is flooding. But he also is building another piece of his business, which is the vitamin of teaching people about their plumbing system so that they can prevent problems and keep the pain from happening. You also have to think about what kind of relationship you want to have with your customer. Think about a gas station or a restaurant. A gas station is you just pull up, you say what you want, and you hand the person money. So it's very transactional. Whereas a restaurant, more typically, you want the person to come back regularly, have a special experience. However, I actually have a gas station that I probably pay much too much for because one, I have to have full serve gas. And I was so impressed that the attendant knew my zip code for my credit card the next time I came back, that his memory on people was so incredible. And just he's cheery. So I go out of my way to go to my favorite gas station. You have to think about that. Do you want to build your business on building really deep relationships or on just getting that quick sale? Okay, going on to the next box. And I think that your next lesson or session with this program is about channels and building kind of ways to get to customers. This is the meat of your business. There are 6 questions that you must answer to build a business. First, how do you find your customer? Most people now are definitely using the internet to find customers, but also it can be, as I said before, going to your gym. It can be going to your church. It can be going to your school. It can be your next door neighbor. It can be used in only your friends, your family. So how do you find your customers? The next question is, how do they find you? That typically means that you probably need some website or some social media presence. Third question is, how do you sell to them? Do you want to sell live? Do you want to have a website that people call you? Do you want them to be able to order right from the website? You have to think about how you want to sell to them. Next question, how are you going to fulfill your orders? Do they pick them up? Do you deliver them? Do you have a store? Do you have a food truck? Are you sending it FedEx? All of these things are things that you have to think about as you build your business. Next question, how do you deliver your product? Very similar to how you fulfill your order. Again, the question of live, a store, or what kind of way you're going to get it there. The last question is, how do you follow up? How do you answer questions about your product? And most important, what do you do to have the person come back again? All of those are the questions that put together a business. And as I said before, it's a question of live versus online in many cases. In my experience of helping hundreds of startups in all different kinds of programs, such as this one, and at universities and at community centers and all over, I have found that people who have the largest number of social media connections tend to be able to answer these questions and start a business easier. So one of the takeaways from this evening that I urge all of you to think about is what you can do even tomorrow to start building your online connections and your social media presence, because that absolutely can be a way to fast track your start. Okay, next question is, how can you make money? Box 5 we're up to. Oh, yeah, well, let's actually, yep. We'll go up to box 5 to keep things simpler. Great. Okay, so these are the ways that people typically make money. Again, starting with whether it's a painkiller or a vitamin, gives you a sense of whether you're going to have a premium price or a lower over and over again price. And also you have to go back to your values and what you're guaranteeing. So of course, one way is to sell something outright, but you also can think that there could be a usage fee. You can have a subscription model. You can rent something to someone rather than to sell it. You can have a brokerage fee, a license. You can make money if you're a podcaster or you're doing events by sponsorship or having people advertise in your shop or advertise on your website or in your blog. And then there is the opportunity eventually to potentially franchise your company. If you build a really great coffee shop or a really great bar, or you have a really great bakery, you potentially could teach other people how to do your kind of business and then collect a fee on that. So that is the next question to really ask, is how you're going to make money. So these are all the questions that put together your answers of how you're going to connect the problem, the solution, what is unique about what you're offering, and then how you make money. Now comes the hard part. And this is how you're actually going to do this. So let's go on to box 6, which are the key activities. Okay, so everything connects. What your key activities are have to connect to what your features and benefits are. Okay, your key activities also have to connect to the relationship you want to have with your customer. Okay, your key activities have to connect with what is your absolute guarantee, what it is you want to be known for. So another sort of sub-question here is to ask yourself, what are the very first steps, the very first things you must do to start a business? Key activities. If we go to the next page, we are going to think about that. If you think about any business that's known for something that you respect, they probably are known for one of these 5 things. And so I often suggest to startups and business owners to be thinking about this. Again, what do you know? What do you want to be known for? Because that is going to tell you what some of your key activities are. Okay, so do you want to be known for having the best people? Companies like some of large consulting companies, some banks are known for having really great people. That's one way that you can differentiate yourself. And so if you want to be known for people, then a lot of your key activities are going to mean you need to hire well, train well, develop your people. The next thing to ask yourself is you could be known for process. If I heard some people were thinking of starting a cleaning company or a service company like that, if you want to make yourself stand out from other cleaning companies, you could have a guaranteed checklist. You could tell someone that I have a process that I only use green materials, that I have a process that I guarantee you that we dust everywhere. We move furniture at least once a week. We wash your windows a certain amount of time. So it's the process that can make you better than any other cleaning company. Infrastructure. This would be more for people who have probably in the construction world. An example of a process company would be someone like Amazon, that Amazon has a great process. An example of someone that stresses what the great infrastructure is would be someone like Verizon, or all the cell companies who tell you that they have the best 5G network. Design is another way that you can differentiate yourself. If you have the most beautiful, the most attractive cakes, cookies, services, that if you do beautiful photography, that can be your differentiator. And then the last thing that you can be known for is for doing social good. Many small businesses and startups make a point of saying that they will give a certain percent of their revenues to local communities, to things that are happening in their area and whatever that needs some help. Let's go on to key resources, which is really identifying what you have to find before you build a business. Key resources are 4 things. There's physical resources, intellectual resources, people, human resources, and financial resources. Let's go to the next page and let's talk about what's a physical resource. Okay, this obviously will be whether you need space, but most startups start out of their home, but still you have to be thinking about where in your home you're going to be setting up your business. Do you need vehicles? Do you need a new computer? These are the kind of resource questions that you have to begin thinking about to start your company. Physical resources. The next is what we call intellectual resources. So the key thing of an intellectual resource is the name of your company. That is probably one of the things that one has to think the hardest about. I love, what was it, Charlie's Canine Camp. I love that as a name for a company. I love to know who Charlie is and why it's called Charlie's Canine Camp. I love that there's 3 C's. That's always a good way with a name to use a letter over and over again. So you also, the other things that have become important is it could be your logo. It also could be if you have a copyright. Obviously, if you're a photographer, you have major issues on telling customers and clients what they are allowed to do with your photographs. And then you also have databases. Your social media, all those emails and all those connections you have, that's your IP. That is what you own. And that is a resource for you to build your company. So the next resource, next slide, of course, is the people. And thinking about this, of what do you need in the way of people resources? What are the talents that you have? What are the talents that you really are going to need from someone else? Can you find volunteers, interns, family and friends to help you as you start? Every startup, every business owner should take some time to think about the people you know who can help you. People love helping business owners and startups. Don't be shy about asking someone that you think could be helpful as you start or grow your business. And again, taking time in that box to think about really the people you have as a resource and what you need to find. And then the last resource, of course, is financial. And one of the things that I really like to stress is that in these times, particularly in the last 2 or 3 years, anyone can start a company or a business. Many super successful businesses start by crowdfunding, where you, through a Kickstarter campaign or a GoFundMe campaign, tell friends and family that you want to do this and collect the money in advance. Now, again, having lots of people on your social media connections can help you do that. Sometimes I've known of 2 or 3 consumer products like boot companies or apparel companies that have started this way, but typically have had maybe 5,000 social media connections. So you never can have enough social media connections if you want to be a business owner. That is one of your biggest resources. I also have to stress that you also have a tremendous number of contests now out in the world. If you Google in your own community who has a pitch contest, who is going online and wants to hear and help businesses, there really are a number of resources of finding money. And I'm sure even as part of this program that you're launching, they are going to help you put together some numbers and resources for doing it. Okay, we're coming up to our last 2 boxes. Box 8 is our key partners. This, again, is something that I often think that people who are starting a business don't think enough about. And it's the idea of finding people who you can partner with, who perhaps are in similar businesses, who perhaps have the same kind of customer that you want. I mean, so an example of that might be that if you want to start a wellness company, or if you want to start a wellness drink, or some kind of help for making people happier and healthier, then obviously a gym or someone else who's in the wellness space could be a partner for you. If you are a still photographer, and if you're looking to get business in weddings, then obviously an event planner could be someone who would be a strategic partner for you. So thinking about what kind of business actually you have or you know about that you should talk to, and see if there's a way that you can work together to find customers and even deliver a better product to. And then the last box that we have to cover is, of course, putting together a rough idea of how much it's going to cost you to start this business and what is going to be your costs going forward. What are your key expenses? What resources are most expensive? What activities are most expensive? What do you need before you even make a dollar? Those are fixed expenses. And then what expenses go up as you get more business? So those are kind of your simple questions to begin thinking about business. So let me just say a few things in conclusion, and then we'll see if we have any questions or comments or things. If we go to my next slide, it's just a reminder that what we've done. Okay, so these are the next steps. We do the business model canvas, scribble it up, and then your next thing that you should do is what's known as customer discovery. Is actually customer interviews, of taking out what you're thinking you're going to do and asking lots of questions, having people give you ideas of what's right and wrong about it, tweak what you're doing and do it again. And then our next slide is the ultimate goals, I hope. Right. So this is something that I always close when, particularly when I'm teaching at universities, that I always like to remind people that the most important thing for success as an entrepreneur is actually to learn to talk to strangers. A crazy idea, but that is the most important thing, that you have to get out of the building. And also you have to be able, I would say, to listen to strangers. It's not just to talk to strangers, but you need to listen. And you need to have an idea that what you're doing is like an experiment, that until people really tell you you have it right, you should pivot, you should change, you should be willing to do whatever you can to put those 9 boxes together. So my very last page, Augustine, is just a list of resources that I suggest, and of course you're entering this course. The first is to Google business model canvas and customer discovery. You'll see lots of examples of canvases and how to ask questions to be sure that you're on the right track. Steve Blank, steveblank.com. He started this whole movement, and he has a website with hundreds of tips, courses. You can actually watch the $100,000 course he teaches at Stanford. The entire course is on his website for free. Bree Pettis, the Cult of Done Manifesto, that's the poster that I hope you'll download for inspiration. And Neil Patel is definitely a great resource for customer questions, how to ask 26 different things that can help you in your business. I also offer myself as a resource that I welcome you to reach out to me, particularly on LinkedIn. If you can find me as Barbara Roberts at Columbia or Hofstra. So I post a lot of things there, and there's some other cases and white papers and whatever. Augustine, Ann, do we have time for questions or any closing comments, and where should we go from here?
Yes, I would say first, Barbara, thank you for a very enthusiastic and inspiring presentation. Thank you. And yes, we have time for questions. If anyone has a question, I really like that you're telling people to do the customer interviews. We can do that with this group, with each other. We can practice with each other at some point. And really, I think the question is, you want to tell people what you want to do and ask for their feedback. Like, here's what I want to do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then, and then
Right.
like
Yeah.
get their feedback, like, well, maybe if you tried this, it might
Yeah.
be better or something like that.
And, and my tips on customer discovery interviews are, the first question is, you want to find out if they have the problem you want to solve. That's your first thing. I mean, like, if you, even going back like to the bakery, do you like chocolate cakes? Do you like what sweet do you like to eat? The first question you don't want to tell them. You want to hear whether you're talking to someone who can help you. Your second question is to ask them how they solve the problem now, because that will give you some tips on what is of interest to them and how they're finding a photographer, how they're finding a dog care center, how is an older person finding care. The first thing you want to ask is how they are doing it now. The third question then you want to ask is, what do they like about that current solution and what they don't like about that current solution? Only after that should you put forward your idea of what you want to do, because you want to get, if you are obsessed with the problem and you go on this discovery of how people are trying to solve the problem now and what they like about the current solutions and what they don't like, that is going to give you the secret of what you can do to really do something different than what's out there. So you actually don't show, I would not recommend showing your solution until you let them talk for a good 5 minutes about it. And then also not talk too much, show it and just be quiet and listen and show a willingness that you really want to know what people have to say and think.
Barbara, there's a question from Jacoby asking, is there a resource that you'd recommend for a nonprofit?
I've used Business Model Canvas for retreats. I mean, the questions are very adaptable to a not-for-profit. I'm positive if you Google Business Model Canvas for not-for-profits, you would get some examples, but it's almost easier in my mind for using these questions for a not-for-profit. I mean, you start with a problem. You then, who is it that you want to serve? You certainly then could say, give your solutions to the problem. And I think it's very important, if you're a not-for-profit, to talk to your customers, but also you have to talk to what I call all of the people affected by you. So you'd also probably have to talk to potentially government officials, to possibly insurance companies, people, and of course, how you get revenue would be totally about fundraising. So I have seen not-for-profits take time answering these questions, because people who give money to not-for-profits also want the answers to these questions before they give money. It makes them feel that you know what you're doing, that you have a real strategy and plan. So the Business Model Canvas works totally as easily with not-for-profits. I've used it with single consultants. I've used it with companies that have thousands of employees. These are the 9 questions that you really have to answer before you can start a business. In large companies, people often use a Business Model Canvas to start a new product. So you could also use it just to start one new thing. Have any other questions?
I think in light of time, Barbara, we're going to try to take what you've been telling us and try to put it to work. So we really, really appreciate your time. I want to acknowledge Daniela for her work with translating. Thank you so much, Daniela. And for everyone that's been here, we're going to take a short break at 7:24. So we're going to break until 7:30. That will give you 6 minutes. And we'll make sure that we connect you wherever we need to connect everyone. Augustine, do you have anything to add, or Tanya, before we take a short break?
Nope. We'll see you at 7:30.
At 7:30. So thank you so much,
Well,
Barbara.
I see the thank yous. I appreciate the thank yous coming in on the box. I apologize so much to your translator because I more naturally talk at 50, I'm a New Yorker at 50 miles a minute. So I know I was very difficult today. So I apologize. And I know she did a great job. So thank you. And it was a joy to be here, Anne. Thank you for inviting me. And good luck to all of you.
And you're welcome to stick around. You're welcome to stay and be part of our helping team until 8 o'clock.
I have to teach at 9 o'clock tomorrow
Okay.
to 100 students. So I think my
Awesome.
voice is going. So it was a
Okay.
joy, and I wish there's some great ideas here, and I wish everyone super success. But do again, focus on this, that you're here, you're on the planet for a purpose, and be sure that what your startup does is consistent with that, because if it is, it's going to be successful and it's going to give you great happiness. So, good night, everyone.
Good night, Barbara. I'm typing that in right now. You're on the planet for a purpose. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Adios. Take a break, everyone. We'll see you back here in a few minutes. Thanks.
No, we're on a break.
Okay, we're going to slowly welcome everyone back. And I'm gonna let you lead. I'm going to open up the screen again with the website, and we're gonna give instructions about how to open the business model canvas.
Great, thank you. Thanks, Augustine. Augustine is going to open up what Barbara was just talking about. So the business model canvas is these 9 questions. We're going to be working on these 9 questions over the course of the next 6 weeks. But tonight, the opportunity is for you to actually jot a sentence down about each one. I have like a paper copy in front of me just to remind us. So this is very small print, Augustine. I'm not sure if anybody can see this or not. Let's see what we can do. Let's see. So what we want to start with is the value proposition. I would encourage you, we can send this to you by email, like it's on the web, it is on the website, but you can work with this online. Like there are digital versions of this. That's very helpful. Thank you, Augustine. We're going to start with, even if tonight we just get into the value proposition, and then you take time on your own to look at all these other questions, but you'll see what Barbara was talking about are 9, it's really 9 boxes. These are all the questions that can help you guide your business. Whether it's a nonprofit or a for-profit, you need to be able to answer these questions. The problem you're solving is what you want to ask yourself. What problem am I solving? If you have a piece of paper, or if you have a computer, if you have a pen and a napkin, something that you can put your notes down, you want to write this question down. What problem is my business solving? What customer needs are we satisfying? What customer needs is my business satisfying? So we're going to take a few minutes right now for everyone to actually think about this and answer this question. So we start in the middle of this box, the value proposition. Later today, tonight, if you feel like it, or tomorrow or sometime, you can Google business model canvas and you can find a 2-minute version of this exact example. And you will start to see it over and over again. You'll see people describing the business model canvas in many different, it's the same thing. It will reinforce what we were talking about. You'll see below, so there's an example here of the questions that each box is asking. So each box is asking a question, and then there's a blank canvas like an artist's canvas. There's a canvas down below, and this is exactly what it looks like. And you're going to fill in. Barbara was suggesting use a pencil if you can print one out and you want to use a pencil, but you can do this on a screen. You can open up a Word document and just type in, value proposition. Pardon me. So let's start with the value proposition. What value? Start by asking yourself, what problem am I solving? What problem is my business solving? So take a couple minutes to write that down. And when Barbara was talking about what value do we deliver to our customer, I liked the example of the plumber telling you, hey, if I can't be there, here's how you turn the water off. Like, what value are you doing? So what problem is my business solving? Yes, thank you, Augustine. So take a minute and just put a sentence down. If you want to put 2 sentences down, that's fine. And then we're going to just take until 7:40. So it's 7:37 right now. Everybody take a few minutes until you've written down what your problem is that you're solving. Some of the other questions in this box, if you wanted to pursue them, are what value do we deliver to our customer? What value does my company deliver to a customer? What products, what services are we offering to our customer? And the box on the right of the canvas says customer segments, because there could be multiple customers, different kinds of customers. So that these are primary questions. What problem is my business solving? What value is my company delivering? And what products or services are we offering? So take some time. I'll stop talking just for a minute. When we're in an actual classroom, it's easier to leave you alone, but I can stop talking for a couple minutes. And remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. Your answer doesn't have to be perfect. It's what's coming to you as you're thinking about it. I think we all know, basically what you want to do. Just try to put a few words down there as to that this is what we're doing.
And if you feel stuck, please speak up. We can easily take this as an opportunity to engage in conversation. And perhaps as we help with your individual business, it might bring up creative uses for someone else who might be struggling as much as you are.
Yes, we are here to be helpful. So we can, if somebody wants to share and you're ready to share. Jacoby, I see your question, and we can talk more about about specifics when we get, we'll have to develop some recommendations for you on that and be clear on what you're looking for. But right now, try to answer the question. So everyone just try to answer, what's my business idea? What's it solving? Because every business solves a problem. And then if somebody's ready to share, you know, if there's a few people that would be willing to share, you can unmute yourself and say, sure, I'd be happy to share. And just give us a sense of your sentence that says, my problem, the business the problem I'm solving is blank.
Sure.
You want to go for it, Juan?
For sure.
So you can reintroduce yourself and what your business idea is, and then tell us what your value proposition is.
Sure. All right. So, hello, hola. My name is Juan. I'm a photographer based in Buffalo, New York. And so my value proposition, the problem I'm trying to solve is I solve a lack of content for small businesses to use for different media platforms and advertising. I provide a consistent photographic content for these said small businesses for their marketing content. What I deliver is the photos, right, but in a consistent, high quality, and well-structured professional manner. You can use it for print or electronic use.
That's excellent. Yeah, that's great, Juan. Thank you. So he noticed that there was some small businesses or many small businesses didn't have enough content of good photography, and is making that available for people and providing that service for other small businesses. Does anyone else want to share their value proposition? Don't be shy. Remember, Barbara, go ahead, go for it, Grace.
Okay, I'm not sure if I answered the question right, but I tried. But the business I'm starting is a mentor program for young girls and women ages 8 to 35. And it's based on the 8 dimensions of wellness, so spiritual, financial, intellectual, and faith-based. And the purpose of it is to help incorporate like life skills and academic skills, in targeting women and girls who face like dysfunctional families, domestic violence, unintended pregnancies. So helping them live a balanced life, and how to manage stress, making informed and healthy decisions in life, education, parenting, and relationships, and helping them to achieve their goals amidst trauma and abuse.
So the problem you're trying to solve is that people, young women and girls that may be in certain circumstances, need more support and more guidance and education along these 8 dimensions of wellness. Thank you for sharing that, Grace.
Yes, you're welcome. And thank you for helping me put that together.
Who else?
I'm willing to share.
Thanks, Amy.
Yeah, so we're putting together Charlie's Canine Camp, and our problem that our business is going to solve is that we have a ton of unbalanced dogs or unmannered dogs, that our owners may be uneducated in the canine world. The lack of boarding and grooming and training and daycare facility that's around, and the lack of education in our community about canines. The services that we'll offer will be feline and canine boarding, along with a professional groomer, couple self-washing stations, canine training, doggy daycare, educational community seminars. A few things that I thought of offhand that are unique to us is that we'll be a brand new facility. We will be certified. Lauren and I are both certified canine trainers. We found that a lot of the daycares, within a couple hours of us, a lot of their daycare providers that are in the room aren't certified, and that we'll have very flexible hours. That was another issue we found, is the working class had difficulty with dropping off and picking up due to the non-flexible hours that the facility had.
I like your politeness of saying unmannered dogs. You could say that about some people sometimes, but that's great. A great description, and the timing, you know, that flexibility with the timing, that's really important, you know, like they seem like just one variable, but might be the main variable why people are able to use your services.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. Who's next?
I can go, or, oh,
You can try, Matt. We have kind of a funny connection, but give it a try. We'll see if we can hear you.
All right. The problem that my business would like to solve is that everyone needs coffee, entertainment, and food, and Kroger Post be the place to be that is safe for them.
So, I'm having a bad connection with you, Matt, unfortunately.
Okay, sorry.
I don't know if somebody else can hear Matt better than I can. I'm not able to hear. Sorry, Matt. If you wanna type it in the chat, that would be good. That might work. Even if you, I appreciate your willingness, Matt. Technology, we're all working through it today, but we have a lot of creative people in this group. So who's next?
Hello.
Go for it, Kimmy. Did I see that Kimmy was going to try or no? Okay. Let's see.
I could go.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Kimmy. Go ahead.
Go ahead. We'll do Kimmy and then Melissa next.
Okay, can you put that chart back on the screen? We can go off of that.
Augustine, do you have the chart back on the screen?
Can you see the screen?
Yes.
I think you had typed in the question, Augustine, of what problem are you trying to solve? So that's what we're looking at, Kimmy, is like, what problem are you trying to solve? What products or services are you offering? What value are you delivering? Kind of along those lines.
Okay, so my business, I'm going to be opening up a tumbling chair pool training facility. And the reason why I'm very interested in this is because where I'm located, everything is about like 30-40 minutes away for kids to go to gymnastics or any tumbling classes. So this would be a great spot to bring to the community and all around local towns to give them that experience for the young kids.
That's great. So you noticed a need in the community that's not there nearby, and you feel that your business could solve that.
Yes. So there's a lot of hidden talent out here or around me, and they should be able to get training for it. And sometimes the cost of the other gyms are extremely high, and I'm going to be making sure it's affordable for them too.
Nice. Thank you for sharing that. I would have loved that when I was a kid, I must add.
Thank you.
Melissa?
Hello. Well, my business is gonna be solving is helping those who don't understand the accounting side. I want to be able to offer bookkeeping, payroll, advice, one-on-one meetings, to get an idea on what the small business needs. And I do want to offer those services to small business owners or people who are trying to start their business, maybe individuals, help them with their personal accounts. And yeah.
Well, Melissa, I can say that there's probably a lot of people on this call that are sending you a private message right now saying, when can I call you and how can we get started? So that's a big help to a small business person if you can assist with bookkeeping or payroll, advice, guidance, what they need to be looking for. Yes, I've seen that a lot. And Jacoby, thank you for sending the message over from Francis. Yeah. Who else? We still have a few minutes here. So we're just asking the question, what problem is your business solving?
I can go next.
Remind me how to say your first name.
Xiomara.
You
can just say Z. Yeah.
Zimara.
Yep. So
Thank
I'm starting an installation company, and I'm thinking the problem that the business is solving is saving energy, cutting down on fossil fuels and personal protection by getting burned, and saving money in heating and cooling costs. And I thought it would be a good idea to offer two different types of kind of quotes versus some of the companies now, long-term efficient solutions and a quote for that, and temporary fixes for cost efficiency.
And I think, so thank you for sharing that. One of the things that Barbara was saying too is, we're not talking about that necessarily right this second, but how is your business going to be different than someone else that's out there, providing insulation services? What am I doing differently and better? And the reason why we want to do business with you. But thank you for sharing. That sounds like a lot of business in the future for you guys. Who's next?
So I'm going to step in. So our interpreter, Daniela, you can take a break. I'm going to step in. I've allowed the Spanish speakers back into the main room. Okay. So just give me a moment. Okay, he introducido a todos los que hablan español para estar en el grupo de inglés. Esta es la oportunidad de poder hablar y yo de su parte voy a interpretar en inglés. Okay. So the first one that we see is from Francis. Francis says, mi negocio ayudaría al consumidor a consumir productos agrícolas locales. My business will be able to help consume agricultural products that are local. Y los consumidores se le brindarán productos de alta calidad. And this will be of the best and highest quality. Fred, creo que también quisiera así. Fred, I think that you wanted to also share.
Saludos a todos.
Hello to everyone.
Mi negocio, mi idea de negocio que me gustaría elaborar sería
idea.
sobre comida
It's on food.
y es un negocio que en mi país, Puerto Rico, se ve mucho y desde que estoy aquí no lo he visto en ningún lado.
It's a type of food business that's very often seen in my country, in Puerto Rico, but it has not been shown here.
Y es el
Lo
famoso,
necesitamos.
We need it.
es el famoso cono pizza.
It's
Epa.
a famous pizza cone.
Sí, entonces mi idea personal es que quiero llevar diferentes platos de diferentes culturas a convertirlo en un cono para que a las personas se le haga más fácil comerlo.
So the idea is to be able to take different food products from many cultures and put it all in the form of a cone.
Como la
Yes.
pizza.
I'm
Yeah.
ready.
Like
Gracias, gracias.
Make sure you have a meatless version, Fred. Okay.
Cuídate que lo traigas con una opción vegetariana.
Sí, estoy tratando de buscando la manera de cómo platos típicos de otras culturas, pues simplificarlo a una manera más fácil para la hora de comer.
I'm looking for different ways of other cultures to make it as simple as possible so it's easy to sell.
Vamos a ver cómo Dios nos ayuda y ustedes, ¿verdad?
Let's see how we can help.
Gracias.
Thank you, Fred. ¿Alguien más?
Buena, soy yo, Marta.
Hello, I'm Mark.
No tengo negocio, soy una empleada regular de una compañía de mantenimiento.
I currently work for a
Eh,
maintenance company.
Mi testimonio es, yo como empleada he visto muchas faltas.
As an employee, I've seen a lot of strikes.
Y estoy en un horario que trabajo sola, cuando por la noche hay varios empleados que solamente hacen esa función y ya yo hago todo. Y la
There are
confianza
cases
de él,
in the night shifts where there are multiple people who are working, but they do the bare minimum, which leads me to with extra load of work.
y el manager pues me da toda la responsabilidad a mí. So,
This ends up
entiendo
mattering
que puedo
responsibility.
llevar el trabajo sola, ¿verdad? Pero me gusta la idea de tener un negocio de mantenimiento
I would like to have
y,
a maintenance business
y hacer lo que realmente ni los propios jefes hacen, o sea, puntualidad, buena limpieza, supervisión, tener un buen equipo,
and be
tener
able to
buenos
bring in great
empleados
quality, be right on time, have employees that are excellent in the work,
y ofrecerles a ese cliente esa necesidad como tal.
and to be able to offer that need that the client truly has.
Y llevo varios meses haciendo inventario, haciendo cosas que no debería hacer como una empleada regular y como que me ha llamado mucho la atención y he hablado con mi jefe, a veces tiene comunicación conmigo, obviamente pues por la confianza y por la seriedad que he tomado el trabajo y como que he pensado pues dar este paso para tener mi propia compañía de mantenimiento y ofrecer la calidad que realmente el cliente necesita.
And for months now, I've been taking inventory of the things that shouldn't be done, things that should be done. And I've even taken advantage of having conversations with my manager as my work has progressed during this time. I want to be able to deliver a high quality service with my maintenance company. Gracias, Marta.
Okay.
Tengo una pregunta. ¿Piensas hacerlo residencial o comercial? I have a question. Do you want to do it residential or commercial?
Comercial, me gustaría irme a lo comercial.
I would like to go commercial. ¿Alguien más? We could also welcome the English speakers. I just want to make sure that we have the
Yeah.
conversation flowing.
No, thanks, Augustine.
Back and
Excelente. Yeah.
Well, if that's all. We're actually right at 8 o'clock. So we, as promised, the time goes from 5:45 to 8. So ya estamos a las 8. Como prometido, el curso es de 5:45 a 8. Please take time to continue to work on your value proposition. Por favor, toma tiempo en trabajar con tu propuesta de valor. These questions, estas preguntas, are all available on the website. Están disponibles en la página de web. I'm going to share my screen for a minute. Voy a mostrar mi página por un minuto porque quiero que vean, because I want you to see lo que está disponible para ustedes, what is available for you guys. So this page, esta página, is going to show the tools that we're going to use. Va a mostrar las herramientas que vamos a utilizar, comenzando, beginning with the Business Model Canvas in Spanish, el Business Model Canvas en español, y el Business Model Canvas en inglés. These are the two main tools. Estas son las dos herramientas primarias que vamos a utilizar that will allow us to answer and have all the questions that we're going to touch on each every day. Va a tener todas las preguntas que vamos a necesitar para poder completar en cada día. By the time we're done with this course, ya cuando hemos terminado con este curso, we're going to have accomplished all 9 boxes. Vamos a poder completar todas las 9 cajitas. Later on, después, we're going to touch on financial projections. Vamos a hablar sobre proyecciones financieras. Pero eso es su tiempo. But that in its own time. In the meantime, mientras tanto, podrán ver, you will see the schedule up here to your right. El calendario aquí en la derecha. You will know ahead of time, van a saber antes de tiempo, quién va a ser el maestro este día. Who's going to be the teacher that day. Verán sus slides. You will see their slides and what the subject is about y qué es el sujeto que están hablando antes de tiempo. Y cada día tomaremos una hora. Each time we'll take an hour for the teacher, para el maestro, y el otro horario, and the other hour for time as workshop, por tiempo así de trabajarnos juntos. ¿Suena bien? Sounds good?
Great.
Great.
Perfect.
So always keep an eye on this website. Siempre dale un ojo a este website. The Zoom link will always be here. El Zoom link siempre va a estar aquí. Y todos los materiales van a estar aquí. No vamos a mandar nada por correo electrónico. We will not send anything via email, a menos que nos pregunte directamente, unless you personally access to do it. O a menos que me pregunte a mí directamente por texto, unless you're asking me via text. En general, siempre van al webpage. In general, please refer to the website. All the materials are there.
But I would say check your email in case we're trying to communicate with you. Right, Augustine? I mean, if we have a message or if something comes up, you want to just make sure you check your email.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much, guys. De verdad, es una chulería pasar el tiempo con ustedes. It's really been delightful to get the day started. I'm loving the interaction. Me está encantando la forma que están comunicándose. And for my English speakers and my Spanish speakers, para los que hablan inglés y español, this culture, this bilingual culture, esta cultura bilingüe is part of the flavor of Ibero, es parte del sabor de Ibero, donde podemos disfrutar las dos culturas, but we can enjoy both cultures. So thank you so much. Have a good night. Muchas gracias. Buenas noches. Y los veremos a todos el martes a las 5:45. We'll see everyone on Tuesday at 5:45.
Good night. Thank you.
Gracias, everyone.
Muchas gracias. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Muchas gracias.
Nice work.
Thank
Nice
you.
to see
Bye.
everyone.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Bueno.
Thank
Excellent,
you.
Augustine. Excellent, Anne. I
Thank you,
enjoyed
Bet.
it. I
Thank
enjoyed
you,
it.
Jinsu, for being here. Thank you, Martha, for dropping by.
Gracias. Muchas gracias.
Thank you,
Buenas
everyone.
noches.
Bye,
Buenas
everyone.
noches.
Good night.
Buenas noches a todos.
Bye-bye.
Daniela, thank you. Gracias, Daniela.
You're very welcome.
And
And I
now
really
I-
appreciate how mindful you are of your speed. You were the one that was